So Danny, you're saying it's the fault of the consumer or the mentor or the person's doing the course?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? So the the predator or the person that is putting on this show, this Ponzi scheme or scam or however you want to call it, they know exactly what they're doing. They know the population that they're that they're utilizing or attacking, and they understand the weaknesses and the strengths based on their experiences. So it's an easy target. You know what I mean? But then
But
on the opposite side,
you're talking about courses in general.
courses in general, depending on who's running the course. We're talking about the people like you said, Morrison, these people that are hosting these scams
But
or
let me ask you this: what if okay, you're a consumer,
Mhm.
you're looking to learn whatever real
Right,
estate development, for instance.
right.
Do you not feel like okay, I don't know enough? And yeah, I can go on Instagram, I can go on YouTube, or I can go on Google and kind of like get some information. But if you see somebody who's on Instagram who perceive to have that knowledge that you want,
Standing in front of a
and they're
Bentley,
yeah, and
in front of a
they
building.
have the
That's all
lifestyle, and
predatory.
they also they're dropping little videos, little gems where it's like, oh,
Right.
this person is very knowledgeable
Mhm.
in real estate development. You as a consumer wouldn't feel compelled or feel like, hey, let me invest $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 into learning this skill.
Well, that's all a part of the marketing strategy, right? I mean, knowing that, me knowing that, um, you kind of sit there and you kind of take it for what it is. It's like, okay, I believe we talked about it previously on a couple of people that I've saw on Instagram. With the development thing that you're talking about, it's like, okay, well, I understand the risk of this $1,000 going to waste. So if this is my last $1,000, I'm probably not gonna put it into somebody that's just out the wazoo. I have no idea, and I'm just banking on it. So what I typically do, this is just me personally. If I see something on Instagram, I try to find them on somebody's podcast. Like a podcast that I listen to a lot is called the Millionaire Mind State podcast. So on that podcast, is a legit podcast. Multiple people have been on there. They have a very good reputation. So if I find somebody on Instagram, I see if they were on that podcast. I listen to the episode, see what they're talking about first, see what's going on. It's a guy up in New York. I'm forgetting his name, but he was somebody that does development, and I listened to him on the podcast first, and then I found him on Instagram. I watched his Instagram. He posted stuff from the podcast that I believe in, and it's like, okay, I can see myself maybe doing some type of business with him. So let me reach out to his team, get a little bit more information, then go from there. But people don't do the due diligence to really understand what's going on. And when you see the marketing scheme that a lot of people do, um, they do get caught up in the glitz and glamour of whatever that person may be showing. You know how many people are on Instagram renting from these exotic car spots and standing there? Like I have a young bull right now that went to rowing with me and you. I ain't gonna say what organization he's a part of, but went to rowing with me and you. That's exactly what he does. He runs up the money on his credit cards. He's he's doing his thing for himself. But now he's trying to build a following, and what he does to build his following is he buys the expensive jewelry, buys the expensive sneakers, he gets the cars, and he stands in front of them, takes pictures and stuff like that, knowing that this is a part of um, his image that he's creating. And that's where social media has taken us, is everybody has to create their own image to get ahead, especially when you're not coming from much, instead of trying to be genuine about everything that's going on and putting it all on Front Street. I know Ryan says this all the time, like, if we're going to do a video, just take a video. Like, you don't have to do all the editing and all that kind of good stuff. That's where the authentic part of it kind of takes shape. And
No
not
one listens
everybody,
to me.
but again, nobody really gets riled up about that stuff. But go ahead, shake your head.
I'm shaking my head at a couple things.
Yeah, go ahead.
So no, it's not. So my thing is this. So the first point you made, some people do their due diligence and still get scammed.
Oh,
Take
yeah.
Jay Morrison, for instance. I was following this man for years. He was on all the podcasts. He was on all the videos. He was on Instagram promoting, giving free game,
Right.
standing on corner classes across the country in front of crowds of hundreds, standing on the corner just giving free game. So then when he launched this initiative to invest with him, after all these years, you've been following this guy for years. He's been on, he gives off that like and trust him. And then so when he launches this initiative to advance for advancement and wealth building, all that, like, how can you not, want to invest? Ryan considered it. I considered it.
Right.
I didn't, thank goodness. But I was like, because I was following for years.
Right.
But it wasn't that I didn't do my due diligence. Well, I didn't invest, but it wasn't that I didn't do my due diligence. I felt like I liked and trust this man, which is what a lot of people will do. Well, which is what you kind of said in regards to doing your due diligence. So it's not that there's a lack of due diligence. Sometimes it is. Sometimes people just look and they're like, oh, this person is balling. I'm trying to be like them or whatever. And there's also people who's like, I've been following this person for a while.
Right.
I feel like they're knowledgeable. I like them. I feel like I know them to a certain capacity. Let me invest in them because they seem to know what they're doing. And then they still get scammed. But it's not everybody that's scamming. Some people are legit giving that information, and sometimes you invest and then you invest thousands and they kind of give you some information, but they like, if you want more information, invest in my mastermind for another 10K. And it's like, okay, come on, man. But there's that. There was that point I wanted to make. And then also you spoke about, just kind of like being authentic, but Instagram is not necessarily, it's not that anymore. Instagram has turned into this picture perfect facade into a certain capacity. So the people who are authentic, they don't got that many followers. They do not. They're not getting hits. They're not getting views. And you're putting out this good, valuable information. You're putting out your authentic self, and you get 4 likes. You know what I'm saying? But as opposed to the people who are stunting and fronting, people love that, and they like this picture perfect. That's not even real, and people know that, right? But people are loving that, and they're eating it up because it's like, this person. And I know people who literally live to stunt for the gram. Like, you go on their Instagram, you think this person is balling, and they don't. They're literally sleeping on a couch.
They selling it to you.
But on Instagram, people love it. So it's like kind of being true to yourself, kind of having so it's that dilemma. Like, do I stunt or do I be true to myself? You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard divide.
No, it is. But going back to your first part, so I feel like a key point that you missed was when I spoke about the money that I would be investing. Right off the bat, me knowing where my pockets are allows me to make that mistake or not make the mistake. Because if I was to say Ryan was hosting a course, okay, great. Well, let's just call it a spade. Ryan and I knew each other from Gridiron Access, but we never really spoke previously. So when I got my real estate license, I called Ryan. I set up a meeting like, hey, I want to meet you in person right now. I'm going to tell you what it is. You're not going to get that access with everybody. But right now, this is where I'm at. What are you offering? What do you have? Let me see all I can on the table. And then right off the bat, I told him, okay. He's like, it's going to take some money for you to get started. And this is how much everything costs, whatever case may be. And I'm like, okay. Well, I knew, going into it, like, all right, well, I'm going to spend X amount, a couple $1,000s, whatever, to get myself off the floor and expecting not to get that back up front. And he was very upfront saying that, when realtors first get in and they put all this money out, they get very discouraged when things don't happen right off the bat. So just utilizing that as an example, I knew where my money was going, and it was up to me to continue to follow through to see where we can go. Now, if 2 months down the line, Ryan was like, all right, Dan, I need an extra $1,500 for something, I would have said, all right, Ryan,
where'd that come from?
Where did that come from? One, and why would I even I would start to question, this is just me personally, I would start to question, why am I now creating a paper trail for you personally and I'm not seeing anything in return?